I completed Horizon Forbidden West in under 3 minutes, and I'm going to break down exactly how I managed to achieve a time like this. So, let's get into it. Now, I'm sure you have already figured this out, but in order to beat the game so quickly, we need to do a bit of a setup to make it work, because as you know, Forbidden West is a big open world game, and beating just one main quest will take more than 3 minutes even for the most skilled speedrunner. So let's go over the setup. The first thing we need is a save file where we have played through the game until we unlock the final main quest called Singularity, and have access to the arena. From here we need to do the setup back at the base for the final main quest until we have to go to the rendezvous point on the beach where we meet up with our allies. At this point we can start the main part of the quest here at the campfire, but instead of doing that we are going to take advantage of the fact that a lot of the checkpoints in the quest are already loaded in at this point. But there's a problem. The final quest takes place on the far Zenith island and there's a big shield around it. So first we need to get through the shield. And luckily we have a neat little trick for this. So in order to do this, we need to fly out to the shield and drop in the water. From here we need to push Elkjaer up against the shield. A sunwing will now fly around us in a counterclockwise direction, and it can go through the shield without us. So when it comes around on the other side, we can then call for it to pick us up. It then grabs us and takes us through the shield. Once on the other side, we then have to drop off because the sunwing will get stuck in the hitbox of the shield. So we drop off and swim a little bit away from it and then whistle for him to pick us up again. Now we are through the shield and free to move around the island. From here we can now take advantage of the checkpoints that are loaded in. So let's go over the checkpoints for the final quest. Here's a map of the far Zenith island, and this is the path you normally need to take through the quest. And here are all the checkpoints. Now the white ones are loaded in at this point in the quest, and as you can see the first 6 are loaded in. This means we can chain them together by simply hitting number 6, which is located over in this hangar. So by flying over there and hitting the checkpoint, the game now assumes we have progressed the quest until the hangar. Now in the normal speedrun, after hitting the checkpoint, we would fast travel back to the beach. And from here we would start the quest like normal, then restart from save as soon as it loads in, and that places us at the hangar again because the game now assumes we are further ahead, skipping the long zigzaggy path you normally have to take, which is about half of the quest. This is what we speedrunners call the far Zenith Skip. But you might remember there was another checkpoint loaded in further into the quest, which is checkpoint 8, the one you get when you start the fight with Eric. We don't go for that checkpoint in the regular speedrun because it takes too long to get to it compared to doing it normally. However, since we are just doing setup right now, we have all the time in the world, so we are going to get that checkpoint as well by pressing the elevator button. So now we hit 2 checkpoints on the final quest before starting the point of no return, and now we can move on to the next part of the setup that is required to beat the game super quickly. This is where the arena comes into the story, because we are going to use it to do a glitch known as the checkpoint storage, because we want the game to remember that we are on the final quest and have 2 checkpoints checked. So in order to store our current checkpoint, we are going to start an arena challenge, and then we need to get out of the arena while the challenge is still going. We do this by using the infinite jump glitch, or IJs for short, which is a glitch that was originally found within the first hours of the game being released. However, it used to have some big limitations to it, but the developers made a mistake when they released patch 1.18 for the game, which removed those limitations. For more details on that, check out the video in the top right corner of the screen or in the description. So with IJs we can scale up any wall in the game, including invisible walls. So we use it to climb out of the arena. Then once we are on the outside, we call our sunwing and begin to fly south towards far Zenith Island. Then when we get far enough away from the arena challenge, it will fail, which normally would send us back to the arena menu, but since we are too far away, the game simply leaves us in a bit of a limbo state, which we call the invisibility glitch. Because in this state of the game, it is impossible for Elkjaer to die. It also happens to store your checkpoint that you had before the arena, so that works out for this speedrun. Now all that is left to do in the setup is to unlock New Game Plus on this save file, which we do by completing the final quest. So when we get back to the beach, we start the quest like normal, but because we hit those checkpoints earlier, the game now assumes we are much further into the quest, and we can't just restart from save because the invisibility glitch does not allow you to do so. That means we have to get to the next checkpoint on foot, which would be an issue without IJs because there's a lot of invisible walls that normally are bypassed in cutscenes we skipped using the far Zenith Skip. but with IJs we can simply go over them. So we climb this big hitbox with IJs that is around the big machine battle. And when I say box, I do mean it, because once we get to the top, we can simply walk on the roof of it. From here we go all the way to the checkpoint that was not loaded in before, where we drop down and survive because of the invisibility glitch. Then from here we just need to beat the rest of the quest like normal, but don't worry, I will cover the rest of the quest when we get to the speedrun, since it plays out the same. And we have finally gotten to the speedrun, because now we have finally done all the setup for it. Because after beating the game, we are sent back to the base where we can start a New Game Plus playthrough. And this will be how we start the speedrun. So pay attention now, because this is where it starts to go by fast. So I start the speedrun by starting the New Game Plus, and after selecting difficulty, it then asks me if I want to replay the tutorial. And when I select that, I start the timer. But instead of loading me in at the tutorial like it normally would, because of the stored checkpoint, it now loads me back in at the arena. From here I fast travel to the beach and start the final quest. After starting the final quest, I of course immediately restart from save, because we have the checkpoints already loaded because of the far Zenith Skip. This puts me all the way at the hangar. So a little over 20 seconds in, and we are already halfway through the final main quest of the game. From here I need to run up and hit the checkpoint that was not loaded in. This is the checkpoint for the cutscene where you deactivate all the Zenith shields. And after skipping the cutscene I can immediately restart from save, which places me into the Eric fight, because we already hit that checkpoint. So in the Eric fight I quickly place down 2 acid traps in front of him, which he gets tricked into setting off when he does his hover attack. This weakens his armor, so I can shoot once to destroy his helmet. Then I continue to move backwards to get more than 30 meters away from him, because then I can use my bow to finish him with 2 more headshots. Because my bow uses long range damage modifications, which gives me a bonus when I'm more than 30 meters away. Now if you want to see a detailed overview of all my speedrun weapons, then there'll be a link to that in the description below. While we wait for the elevator to go up, we quickly damage ourselves with a bomb to get below 50% health, which is going to give us a damage bonus thanks to my outfit. And after loading my other weapons, I then continue the climb towards the final fight. And we can save a little bit of time by using IJs to climb the right side of the wall instead of taking the normal path on the left. Then the rest of the climb we do the normal polecaster launches to get to the top. Then once we get to the top, it's time for the final fight of the game, where we have to take on Tilda and her Spectre Prime. So the strategy in this fight is to first tie Tilda down with the rope caster and then freeze her with arrows. From here we try to walk 30 meters away so we can get the damage bonus from our long range modifications. After that we activate our Valor Surge called Range Master, which gives us another damage bonus, and that combined with Tilda being frozen and us being at low health allows us to take her out in just one sustained burst with the Bull Blaster. And there you have it, that is how I completed Horizon Forbidden West in under 3 minutes. Or did I? Because it can certainly be debated whether or not this should count as beating the game. Since some of you might argue that it's not really starting a new playthrough, since you just load back at the checkpoint you had at the arena after starting a New Game Plus. And others might say it's a legit speedrun, since I did start New Game Plus the way the game intended. And the setup is just a very clever strategy to confuse the game. And there are other examples of games that do similar setups in order to beat the game super fast. So do let me know what your opinion and argument is in the comments below. I personally can debate it both ways, so I'm not really sure where I stand on it. But either way, I think we can all agree that it's an awesome trick. So I hope you enjoyed this journey, thanks for watching and take care.
Come now, Eloy. You're the last person to act sensibly in the face of impossible odds.